All right, everybody. Good day, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you and the place that you live. Welcome to the latest episode of Monday Musings, the place where I talk about all the things that I'm doing, whether it's reading books, watching shows, movies, book series, magazines, comic, whatever. It's just a hodgepodge of stuff. Plus, we talk about life in general and what we're doing with Project Dramond. This is the episode for what's the date? Pre-recording this as usual on 18th. So this is the episode for July 19th, 2021. Whew. I'm a little knackered. Just went for a run this morning. Got back, had a big sandwich, and it is 12:30, a little bit after noon, so it's about time for my nap, which I usually take naps at 1. So we're going to push through this and get this done before I go take my nap for the day. This past week has been jam-packed with a lot of stuff. Day job stuff is we're ramping up big time. We've got a speaker series kicking off on Wednesday night. We've got 5 speakers lined up for the next month, one every month. It's a bunch of amazing people. We got National Geographic explorers, we've got scientists, we've got New York Times best-selling somewhere in there. There's a whole slew of really cool people that are going to be talking every month about all these different things. We've got immigration, we've got photography, we've got conservation, we've got climate change. It's a lot of really cool stuff going on there. And we just officially announced our first brand ambassador there, who I'm really excited about because this is actually the first person that was on my list when I started sending out outreach emails on April 8th, and she said yes, and it's now been several months of just back and forth interviews and everything else, and we announced her yesterday. Well, I mean, yesterday in terms of this recording on the 17th. So the day job stuff has been this past week is really busy, but we also had a whole bunch of Project Dramond stuff going on, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. In the meantime, let's go through some stuff on my list here. I finally decided to, since Black Widow came out, I finally decided to go get caught up on the Marvel shows on Disney Plus, namely WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki. Not watched any of them yet. I've watched the first 2 episodes of um, WandaVision. And we started watching Black Widow last night, but Chris got tired and wasn't feeling too good, so we just went to bed. So we're only about halfway through that. But I have to say, I don't know. I'm waiting to see if WandaVision picks up because everyone says that towards the end of the season it starts getting really good. But these first 2 episodes have been incredibly fucking boring. Just not. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of intrigue, but it's not. It's taking way too long to get to the point. It's like, okay, so they're living in a weird thing in this weird place and it's black and white and then suddenly it's color and obviously someone is watching from the outside and it's like I get there's intrigue but they're just taking too long to get to the point. So I'm hoping that WandaVision picks up soon. So but I do have those 3 seasons that I'm going to be going through over the next few weeks. Um, and then we're going to be finishing watching Black Widow today or tomorrow. Chris is laid out right now. She's just not feeling good. So um, let her recuperate. I've heard really good things about Loki, and I heard really good things about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I heard really good things about WandaVision once it gets going. It's just I have a hard time with shows that take too long because I've sat here watching these 2 episodes and I've just been like fast forwarding. It's just like, and I hate it when I watch a show that has stuff in it that's so boring that I just feel the need to fast forward. It's just kind of like, eh. I like shows that are captivating enough that every single moment of the show needs to be watched or you're going to miss something. And instead it's like, oh, they're doing a magic show and oh, he's got a boring day job and he invited his boss over to work and over to dinner and so we'll see. We will see how that goes. Um, I started playing Red Dead Online this past week on Friday. or Thursday or Friday. I forget what day it was. I'm still going through Icewind Dale, obviously, as well as Dark Alliance and Mass Effect Andromeda. But I'm only playing, two, maybe three times a week right now because I got so much other stuff going on. Um, I streamed some Dark Alliance on like Wednesday, I think maybe it was, and then I streamed Icewind Dale on Friday night for a little bit. But they had been promoting some new content for Red Dead Online. And I had originally played it when it first came out because I like Red Dead Redemption 2, and I was in the middle of a second playthrough when Red Dead Online came out, and so I just kept it installed and then went ahead and went over and played it for about a month and was like, meh, interesting concept, but there's not enough here for me to do. So it's now been, man, at least a year, if not longer, since the last time I played Red Dead Online, and I got back into it this past weekend, and I gotta say they have added a ton of content to it now. It actually feels like a fully fleshed out kind of like MMORPG now. I'm pleasantly surprised. Um, there are lots of different types of quests now on top of they're not classes. It's like these professions that you can pursue, like bounty hunter or naturalist or things of that nature, trader. And I've got the bounty hunter and the trader professions. And honestly, there's probably off the top of my head, there's like one, two, three. There's like six, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, like six different types of missions that I can take part in. And within those six different types of missions, there are other variations and things to do. And plus, there's the PvP, there's the story missions. So there's lots of different stuff you can do, or you could just roam around and go fishing and sell your fish and make money. So there's it does feel very good. It feels like an actually fleshed out MMORPG, which I've been pleasantly surprised how much they've done in the time since. So for the meantime, I'm keeping it installed on the PS4 because it's just a nice little thing. I've been waking up with my coffee and just like logging in and playing for like an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning with my coffee. And I literally just go out and it's like, I think I'm going to go do some bounty hunting or I'm going to go, hunt some deer and take the pelts back to my camp and do a trade run. Maybe I'll do some of the blood money missions. There's been lots of different things for me to do. So I've been pleasantly surprised how well they fleshed that out, which gives me better hope for what's coming in the pipeline with the announcement that Ubisoft made about how they are making the next Assassin's Creed game an open world online experience similar to Grand Theft Online and Red Dead Online. Um, it remains to be seen. I'm skeptical, but I am optimistic, or pessimistic, I should say. No, I'm optimistic. Mm, I'm a little bit of both, actually. I'm optimistically pessimistic about the game. I mean, I hope it does good things, but if they can pull off what like Red Dead Online has done and what Grand Theft Auto Online has done, I think they could actually have something on their hands. So we'll see. But it is kind of nice and relaxing to just go do some fishing, do some deer hunting, maybe go hunt a bounty down. It's been fun for me. I'm enjoying it. I have been enjoying watching Himvar, Liam, aka Himvar, read through some of these really old books. I've not read all of them, but some of them, like when he got Thieves World, I was like, oh man, because I just did Thieves World. I want to say about 2 years ago, and I did a review on my Patreon. Um, Thieves World is such a good series, and he had never read any Zelazny before, and he got his first Zelazny book, and man, Zelazny, to this day, Zelazny is still my number one all-time favorite author. Even putting aside the Chronicles of Amber for a minute, Lord of Light is amazing. Roadmarks, which I mentioned this a few months back because George R. R. Martin is working with, I think it was HBO, um, to put together a Roadmarks show. Now, that doesn't mean that the show has been greenlit. It's just in production stage. I forget the terminology they use, but they're just putting together the idea at the moment and seeing whether or not they want to do a pilot episode or anything like that. Um, But Road Marks is a great. Oh man, it's so good. Lord of Light's really good though too. I just he's got so many good standalone novels, but also the Amber series. But yeah, it's just to this day, I just Zelazny was one of those guys who I think was the crowning achievement of the 70s, 80s science fiction and fantasy genres, and he won a ton of awards, and unfortunately died of cancer in the 90s, but um, just really good author. So I've been pleasantly surprised, and it's been making me want to go back and start collecting books again, which I can't do at the moment because we rent, and I just won't do that when I rent. Originally, I stopped collecting books was because when I left the U.S. To move to Bulgaria, I ended up I had over 1,200 books in my library, and I just couldn't ship them. There was going to be no way, and there was no realistic way for me to stick all those in storage and pay for that long term. So I ended up selling about 800 of them on eBay. Some of which I regret selling, but it is what it is. Um, I sold about 800 on eBay. I kept about 200 of my rares and first editions, and I gave away about 200 to my local library that I couldn't sell in time and that were like, kind of ratty-eared copies of things. But I did keep, like, for example, all my first edition Wheel of Time hardcovers. I kept my Roger Zelazny collection, which took me like 20, maybe not 20 years, but it took me a long time to get that full collection. And then I also kept like my John Carter of Mars series and all that stuff. Hopefully, I'm gonna go out to get it from my sister's house. I'm gonna transport it to my brother's because we've been doing some interesting stuff there. But it's at my sister's house and has been for a very long time. It was at my parents' house, and they decided to offload it to my sister when they moved back to Missouri, and they just were like, "We don't want to take this," and so left it with my sister in Colorado. So that's where those are at, and that also all my um, second edition AD&D stuff is there. So I've got all the red leather bound books and stuff. So maybe this upcoming summer, because I mentioned Chris and I are thinking about doing that road trip with the van. That's when we would go get all that stuff and be able to unveil that. Probably do an episode about it or something. We'll see. So I've just been very pleased to see some good old retro books being read, and it's made me want to do a book collection. But I made a personal promise to myself many years ago. The one thing I've always hated about moving is having too much shit. And so I was nomadic for a very long time. I was nomadic until Chris and I got married. So there was a good, I don't know how many years there was in there, 8 years or so, 7, 8 years of being nomadic when it was just my backpack of clothes, 35-liter backpack of clothes, and then my laptop bag and my camera bag, and that was it. And then since Chris and I got married, we've stayed in long time. We stayed in Cancun for 8 years, but we rented the whole time. And then we've been here in Mexico City for 3.5 years. And don't, I don't want to get a book collection going again until I've actually got a place where we're settled, and we don't know when and if we're going to do that. Um, we're still talking about things. It's just like, but it makes me go, man, I wish I could collect books again because I do like having big book collections. That'll be a future thing for me, I think, again. I will eventually get back to it at one point. We'll see when, though. We may be doing, my brother and I might be doing some blackberry wine. Um, the wild blackberry season this year has just been amazing in Missouri where they live, and they've just been getting pounds and pounds and pounds. And then my brother mentioned to one of their friends that he was thinking about doing blackberry wine, and that guy was like, "Oh, I've got, you know, acres and acres and acres. Do you want to come pick the ones over here? You want us to pick them? We'll give them to you. What do you need? Let's make this happen." So we may be doing some blackberry wine over the winter and seeing where we go with that. Which I think I've talked about this before on the show. We even I had some lengthy conversations with one of the early Saga Leucemia backers, Rawhide, because that's one of the things that he did or does where he lives on the northeastern part of the country. I don't remember exactly where he was from, but he has vineyards, and we had gone back and forth quite a bit because my brother and I were originally thinking about taking some of the land from the family ranch and doing stuff with a vineyard, and then if not that, then maybe doing some ale. and honey mead and things of that nature. And we've always toyed around with it for the past 3 or 4 years, but we haven't actually ever done anything with it. And it looks like we're finally actually going to do something with it. So we'll see. It's just those of you who like good brews, we may be doing something soon. And I still want to do honey mead, and I've never gotten around to doing it. So we'll see. Um, I think that's all the random stuff for the morning. We're about 15 minutes in. Let's talk Project Dramond for a bit. I can go take my nap. Um, book chapters. First two are out now. Publishing those on Thursdays. Chapter 3 should be out this upcoming Thursday. First three chapters is all I plan on doing as a preview right now. It's enough to get people introduced to the city and everything else, and then all the future chapters are planned to be subscription based for subscribers, and those will be serialized. So the idea is, 2, 3 chapters a month will probably, and this is going to depend somewhat on how busy I am with um, other stuff, tabletop stuff, modules, writing on the game, on the point and click adventure game. But that's all coming together right now. Chris is doing all the artwork. She actually started the artwork for chapter 3 last night for a little bit. Worked on that for about 3 hours. And moving forward. And then if you haven't checked social media, we've blasted out some pretty big teasers of the prototype for the point and click adventure game. Um, Joey took some time off this weekend and really knocked some stuff out of the park. And so we're able to get our first look at the environment and a lot more of the asset packs that we've picked up and what we're putting into the art style and everything else that we're doing, which is stylized. And the most recent preview actually showed off the first iteration of our character model, which we're working on right now. So it's all coming together, and we still got to do interiors. Excuse me. We have to do interiors of those buildings. And then once the interiors are done, it's time for me to start writing quests. And then we implement the quests, and then that prototype is ready to go, and we'll be releasing that as a demo into the wild. So we'll see when that comes about soon. But it's been pretty cool to be able to see things coming together. And we had a big conversation. Obviously, part of um, the goals that we have set for Patreon, depending on the support that we get, there are goals in there. I think if we get the first goal is at $3,000 a month. Once we get to $3,000 a month, the idea is that we will turn around and hire. I'd like to hire someone full time, but I don't know that that's realistic unless we're, I kind of like. It just depends on what we need at the time. But it won't be someone who's wanting to make $80,000 a year. That's not where we're at. We're a small indie startup, and so it'll be something much more closer to $40,000 a year or something. But we might just hire contractors and go from there. But we are starting to have conversations about what that might look like because we're getting to the point where we need some fill in for art and some other stuff. And so we're probably just going to hire some contractors to do some piecemeal work out of our own pockets. Um, we'll see. The big one for me that I'd like to do is once I get all of the lore established and everything else, and once I get the first campaign module done, I would like to bring on somebody to then come on as a writer and work on additional modules. And it would be great if we could get someone who's so into it and we can afford to pay them well enough that they do a module every month. A module plus maps every single month would be pretty amazing. But I got to find somebody I can trust who does good writing and someone who's gonna, be able to produce at that level and also wants to do maps because I don't want to have to deal with two different people. I mean, I could get two different people, but it would be great to have one person who just comes in and does it all. Well, we'll see. But the idea is it would be really cool because then I could just focus on working on the game alongside my brother as well as working on the book and just doing the serialized chapters and then just editing the campaign modules as they're pushed out for Patreon. Because I'd like to get those if we could get those every month. Because my goal on my own, I looked at the schedule and I talked about this a couple of episodes back. If it's just my brother and I and Chris working on things, then I'm only going to be able to do modules on a quarterly basis. It'll be modules every 3 months, in between book chapters and work on the adventure game. But if I get somebody else in that wants to do writing, then depending on their schedule and everything else. It'd be great to have somebody come on board do one a month. That would be cool. But we're not there yet because we got to get the first module play tested and done. Get all that out so that we can establish the tone and the pace and more of the lore because it's not quite fleshed out enough yet. We do have, I mean, if anybody's watched the brainstorming episodes, we do have quite a lot of bit. That makes no sense. We have quite a lot um, laid out in terms of lore and everything else. But I still have to get more of the stuff written and play tested so that we have a module that we can then push out and give to someone and say, this is the style that you need to be copying, because we do need we need to set a tone for the campaign modules moving forward. So that's all brainstorming stuff. But we are starting to look at the expansion and what that looks like beyond this first game and this first campaign module. So um, things are looking good on that in that regard. Woo! Playtesting will be happening August 4th. I think right now it's going to be a small group. It's not going to be. We don't have as many people as I had hoped we were going to have who want to be on camera. And I'm not taking people who don't want to be on camera. So it's made me laugh how many applications we've got for, because there's two questions in the form where it's like, do you own a webcam? Yes. And then like a couple more questions down is, are you comfortable being on camera? And we've had a bunch of people say no. And it's like, well then, yeah, you're not gonna make it, because the whole idea is that we want people who are gonna be on camera on Roll20 because we're gonna be streaming this to YouTube. So um, we got a few people, so we're gonna be going through, and we got, I think my wife's gonna join us because she's never played tabletop before, um, and she's doing the artwork for this. So I would like her to see if she, experiences how much fun she's gonna have. But English is not her first language, so she's a little worried that she's gonna slow the group down. And it's like, I'm not worried about it. This isn't about a fast-paced group. This is a playtest group. So the idea is we're gonna play a little bit, and then we're gonna stop and ask some questions. Maybe we'll ask questions at the end of every session. I don't know exactly how that's gonna work out yet, but it's not meant to be something where we just blow through and play as fast as we can. It's about sitting down, playing through things, testing things, then asking people questions and saying, what did you think about this? What about this? What ideas do you have? What are some other ways that we could potentially make this more entertaining? What are some other things that we could do to move the story forward? Is this working? Is it not working? That's what playtesting is all about. It's not about, it is entertainment, but it's not being done for marketing purposes. So we'll see. In any case, still got room if people want to join. Take a few more people along with us. Up to a max of 6 other people. Well, no, because we don't have that many slots left. I think we have a few slots left, so I think we have up to 3 slots left now. So if there are 3 people out there that want to get on camera and join our playtest, feel free. I'm gonna have to just wrap this up. I'm yawning big time. It's nap time. So um, next week, I talked about this in the stand-up the other day. My goal for this week that we're in right now is I'm just getting the source book ready. So I'm adding art, some of Christina's art to it, and I'm doing a polish pass. Now this is not the layout is not going to be finalized. It's not what the final source book is going to look like, but it is something that we can get into the hands of the playtesters so that they can look at it and go, hey, this is okay. I understand all of this. But we don't have any art yet for like the character races. Um, we just have landscape art and places, locations. So we still got to get somebody at some point, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to worry about getting concept art for character races until, probably right when I'm ready to go into the final production stages of the source book and we're doing final layouts and everything else. That's when I'll contract somebody to do the cover, and then that same artist will probably be the person who does the internal concept art for the races, because those same races are going to show up in the cover art. So I want to be able to have those be fluid and matching. So we're 25 minutes in. I'm out. Gonna go take a nap. Thanks to everybody for following along. If you haven't already done so, make sure to hit the bell icon. subscribe, all those good things. Check out the links below. Pick up a subscription at Patreon if you want to support what we're doing with Project Dramond. Oh, and stick around because we are selecting on the 21st is supposed to be when we do it. We're going to be selecting the final name for the IP and locking down our websites and social media. We won't be making those public at the moment because then we're going to go into logo production. But that is all happening soon. So stick around for all that stuff. Until next time. Don't forget, no MMORPGs, no Mondays and MMORPGs this week, and probably not for the entirety of August. The plan is we'll be coming back in September with the next iteration of Mondays and MMORPGs. Don't know what that's going to be yet. Probably just a weekly variety show as opposed to doing these themed topics. And we'll probably be having some additional people join us just to talk about games and stuff as opposed to talking only about it from development side. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Don't forget you can go back and watch all the previous episodes if you haven't already done so. Playlist is here on YouTube. See everybody next week. Peace.